Our state has some incredible problems. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. I'm here to talk about that with you and talk about the trends that have shaped this state and dragged us in one direction or another. We're not really we're not realizing the dream we had way back in the early 2000s or even around 2008 or 9 or 10. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. Welcome to WowBiz Nebraska. We're going to get it on right now. It's a perfect time for strategic innovation, but that requires making some big decisions. Big decisions mean big questions that precede the whole thing. I'm Lynn Hinderaker with WowBiz Nebraska. Thanks for checking in with me. We are at a wonderful point in the cycle of the show and in the cycle of the economy. Everybody is eager to do something, but they're uncertain because of inflation and all the other things that are wrapped up in that. So we're here tonight to be clarifying and to kind of give you a way to rethink your strategy so you can go forward confidently and with great enthusiasm. And your team, by the way, will pick up on that, and it'll be a great enhancement to your culture and obviously to your bottom line. I'm Lynn Hinderaker again, and I have one big question for you right here, and we're going to start with this. It's kind of an odd question to be asking, but pretend you're going to see somebody at your office after this show, maybe the next day or two. Think about what you're doing right now. As you listen to WowBiz Nebraska, as you listen to the program, I want to ask you this. If you hear something that you find interesting and it seems relevant to you, and you go to the office the next day or two and you happen to share this idea, whatever you heard on the show here today, with somebody else, let me ask you this question. Will you increase mutual trust by sharing that information with them? Or will it increase suspicion and skepticism? Why is he saying that to me? Am I supposed to know something I don't really know? You see, anybody, based on their attitude, can obviously misunderstand or misinterpret. And that happens in office environments quite a lot, as we both know. So I'm going to ask you that question and think about it. Here's the deal. Here's where I'm coming from at this point. The ability to know how to handle that kind of a subtle, kind of a nuanced question is something that requires a skill. And we really don't add skills to our professional setup, so to speak, and how we do our work together every 15 years. It takes about 15 years to add a new skill and actually become much more sensitive, self-aware, able to do something that you couldn't do. It takes about 15 years to accumulate that insight. Isn't that something? All right. Now here's the second question. I've already got you thinking. What do you not have enough of? I'm thinking about your profession, your business, your future, and so on. What do you not have enough time of right now? Do you have enough time? Do you have enough talent? And do you have enough attention from management? Time, talent, and management attention are probably the three things that everybody wants more of. and oftentimes, they can't get it. They can't get those three things sufficiently to move the ball forward insofar as how they see it unfolding in front of them going into the near future. So if you've had a difficult time answering these questions, and I realize they're kind of complex, thought starters, so to speak, ask yourself this. Now, this is the easiest one. It may be the most profound one. Where do you, and I'm talking about your company now as well as you individually, where do you create the most value? Where and when are you at your best? You're really doing something that's going to help the client or the customer. This is what I do. I'm really good at this, etc. Do you know what that is? Because that's really important in your career right now as we kind of reallocate resources and say, okay, we're going to march into the future here in 2023. Want to make sure that it pays off, so to speak. That means we got to be leveraging every individual's strength and their good attitude. You know, I'm doing now what it is I enjoy doing, etc. So once you identify that, then I'm going to tell you what do we do next? I know that's what you're thinking. And the answer is, quite simply, outsource everything else. Just think about this for a second now. When you're trying to be efficient, cost efficient, and so on, you want to be able to make a difference with the customers and so on, it's a perfect time to kind of hone in on, okay, what do we really do well And can we up that just a little bit? But let's not worry about all the other peripheral stuff that we don't necessarily do that great anyway. Let's find some outside contractors, bring them into the play, and let them handle that stuff, because that's not where value is probably being created. That's not where and when people go, yeah, you know, you should do business with those people. They're really good, you know. All right, so we've thrown a lot of interesting questions at you right now. I got one more thought starter for you, and this is a setup for strategy. Everybody says, this is what happens. Hey, boss, what's the strategy, right? What are we doing right now? Where are we going? What are we trying to emphasize? How are we creating value? Are we, frankly, boss, are we really competitive? And this is the tough question right now, and it's being asked everywhere. Nobody wants to admit that they're having these conversations. But as we get into this, I'm going to tell you how to deal with it methodically. And I'm going to use a metaphor that everybody's familiar with, and that is, think about going to the bowling alley, all right? And think about the 12 pins that are down at the end of that aisle there, so to speak, the bowling alley. And just kind of get that in your head. Now we'll begin to think about those pins specifically and individually for just a minute. So what we have to do under these circumstances, when things are a little sluggish, people are a little down, they don't know exactly what they're capable of doing, how much money are we going to make, how profitable are we going to be, are we going to be able to make payroll? All these things are floating around in the back of our heads. So you focus on one pin. Think about, we'll call it a vertical market. That's the common way that it's discussed. Think about the specific market that you know a lot about. You know how they work, you know what they think about, what they care about, what the trends are up and down and so on. And then make sure that your product, as you go out into the field, your marketing stuff, you get your sales guys and so on, you're trying to make sure that you have the perfect customer prototype. It's not everybody, right? You want that vertical market. You want those people that are just perfect. And when they hear your company or what you do and so on, they're like, that's perfect for us. Let's buy that. Let's work with this guy, right? Because if you don't hone in on their particular, and use the word niche, their niche needs, and by the way, don't just give them the product and say, there you go, thanks a lot, I appreciate it, I'll see you again. Now you need to exceed their expectations and provide a whole solution, like a broader solution that includes emotions and feelings and all kinds of other related things above and beyond the product, okay? So you do that. I don't know what that means, less revenue, more revenue, I don't know, but hone in very specifically, and you might want to do a little research. What does this core customer really care about now in this economy and all the other things that are related to it? So then, once you satisfy that person, you make a decent margin and so on, now you move out and you maybe find another, right? Another bowling pin, another vertical market. It's kind of like the first one, but it's a little bit different, and they have different requirements and all that. And so once again, don't expand, don't try to sell to everybody up and down the street. Get real precise about who really likes your stuff and likes the way you do things. Get them embedded, and then carefully and meticulously move on to the next vertical segment while taking care of the other ones you've already cultivated. Now, so let's say you don't do this for 12 pins, all right? That's kind of an overstatement, but let's say it could be 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 pins, okay? These are all separate market segments. These are all customers that want something different from you, or something slightly different that fits us, that's perfect for us, right? Now, that could take, a year, 2 years, maybe a little bit longer to get that all cultivated, know exactly what those bowling pins individually want. Then you can go horizontal, not vertical. Now you can say, you know what? Let's take this thing that we've got here. Let's go to Bellevue, Nebraska. Let's take this whole package and go up to Blair, Nebraska. They would love this, right? So you're not adding any additional products or attacking individual market slivers, we'll call them, but now you've got the whole thing. Now, say for instance, you've got a bowling ball, all right? I want you to get this in your head now. Focus in on the dynamics and the energy between these bowling pins in that alley. And here we go, right? And you're going right down the middle, and the bowling pins are like, right? And that's what happens with a company that's successful. It's exponential growth. Now they're flying all over the place. They've got energy coming from each other. They're feeding each other with these things in midair. You see where I'm coming from? It's kind of a weird metaphor, but this is really what you're looking for. Don't go wide, don't go broad too far. Try to identify very specific organizations or industries that really like what you're all about. Do it again, do it again, do it again. Finally get the formula down, and then you can go horizontal and move out into other marketplaces and so on. This is the secret. This is the core, what I'm sharing with you right now, of your strategic plan going into 2023, 24. This is how you think about it, and you get your people around you and said, this is it. Give everybody a bowling pin and say, hey, identify the vertical market that we can serve best. All right, that's an exciting idea, isn't it? It really gives some structure to strategic planning. It's not, we used to be like this. Well, what's last year's plan say? We'll just add a straight line. We're going to grow 3%. Just do the same thing, and we'll just assume that we're going to grow a little bit further, right? It's not very exciting. It's not very adventuresome. We put the 3-ring binder up on the shelf or whatever, and we're not doing that here. We're doing scenario planning. Very important. Why would people want to do business with us for sure? And how do we satisfy some of their deepest needs? All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Lynn Hinderaker here with WowBiz Nebraska. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our sponsor, because they're a very special organization here in the Omaha, Nebraska area. We'll spend just a couple minutes here explaining to you who these people are. And by the way, if you're a real estate developer, an investor, a property manager, oh my gosh, my favorite people in the world, property managers, and that kind of world, real estate folks, business buildings, commercial environments, and so on, you want to know about Jan Pro of Omaha. Jan Pro of Omaha has been around the city for 7 or 8 years. They've got a little over 25 groups of people around the metro area that serve a variety of business buildings every evening, of course, when the employees go home. But I'll tell you, I've studied this organization from afar because I've been associated with many, many companies over the years, and I see such great potential. The entrepreneur is a dynamo. He's got extremely high standards. He wants everybody in the office to grow as a human being, not just get the work done and stay long, beat them up or anything like that. There's still a lot of that, by the way, in employee culture in industry today, but not at Jan Pro Omaha. And that's why there is loyalty. But there's something you don't know yet. And I have to share this with you. Somebody says, look, Lynn, I like this company. It seems like they're probably a pretty good company. Boil it down. Give me 30 seconds and tell me why I should invite the boss over and talk with them a little bit and, see whether or not we do, in fact, want to replace our existing cleaning vendor. And I'm going to tell you this right here. It starts with T, the letter T, and the number 3. T3, they have a system. They have a system built around this phrase T3, and everybody knows you might be off track one way or another, but you can always come back to T3. Now, what that stands for is tools. You got the right tools if you're going to be a cleaning crew every night, and they vary from building to building. Tools, technology, that's heavy, but the heaviest of all is training. And their director of operations, I personally know the man, and he's done this kind of thing for 25 years. He really knows what he's talking about. He supervises all these franchisees that are throughout the community and ensures that they have measurable, I want to emphasize that word, measurable standards, all right? So we're now talking about Jan Pro of Omaha. I encourage you to look them up on the internet. Give them a call. Said, I heard about you on WowBiz Nebraska. And Lynn Hinderaker is very enthusiastic about Jan Pro of Omaha and say, what about the T? Have somebody come out and talk to me about the T3 system. I know it'll make a big difference. Jan Pro of Omaha, thank you so much. We appreciate your support and your sponsorship. Jan Pro of Omaha, absolutely. All right, now, welcome back to WowBiz Nebraska. I got a great story for you. Not too much advice right now, but a great story for you. This is a few years back. I was over in Hanscom Park here in the Omaha, Nebraska area. They have a large pond. It's not a lake, but certainly it's a pond. And it was just one of those quiet, warm summer afternoons. Everybody was very low key. And I was walking or jogging, I don't recall which, but I was going around the perimeter of the lake there, the pond. And by the way, there are children that are kind of playing around the general area there, a couple of people having picnics and so on. So there were people around, but most importantly, as I'm walking, I look across the lake and I see an elderly gentleman. He's leaning against a tree that's kind of near the pond, and he's half asleep, it seemed like, and he's got a fishing pole. He's back like this, and he's got a long line into the water. I don't know if he was sleeping, but he was relaxed, all right? And everybody around the area was relaxed. All of a sudden, the line went tight, or taut, as it were, and the top of the pole bent severely and quickly. And of course, he woke up, and what's going on? And it was really pulling on. It was like he was going to lose the rod in the water. And he grabbed it and held on to it. And he was being pulled down into the pond. It was really something. Now, people all around the area felt sorry for him. They were a little bit worried about the situation, of course. And so they quickly ran over there to him, and they wanted to give him some support. And he's obviously caught something. So now there's 6 or 7 people, kids involved and everything, and they're all holding on to this gentleman, and he's holding on as best he can, but he's creeping to the edge of the pond. I mean, he's really close to being pulled into the water. Well, I saw all this drama going on, and obviously I had to go check it out, So I run, and I run around the whole pond, and I'm running over there to him and trying to find out, what's happening and how can I be of help. Just as I kind of ran up to the tree, and all these people are standing there, and they're yelling, "Hold on, hold on." Finally, somebody kind of went out there. They grabbed the wire, grabbed the line, and they began to pull it in to give the older gentleman a little bit of help that way. And they pulled and they pulled and they pulled on the thing, and they got a net underneath him. And I'll be gosh darned if they didn't pull out a 27-pound carp out of this little pond. Now, we didn't know it was 27 pounds at the time, but we got it weighed quickly. It was an amazing victory in a low-key, neighborly way. But everybody was so proud of the gentleman, hanging in there. And we'd never seen a fish that big come out. It was just bullheads in this little pond, right? Nobody's ever caught anything like this in this particular area, right? It was amazing. And we're all proud not only of him, but of ourselves. We gave him help for, oh my goodness, at least a good 5, 6, 7 minutes to get that pulled in. And as I was watching it happen, part of me is saying, this is a metaphor. This is symbolic of something. It really is. I believe that big ideas are critical during times like this. When things are going well and all water lifts the boats up and everybody's kind of cruising along, we're doing great, thanks. But when we're in this kind of environment, we don't know what's going to happen, and sales have been slow in a number of industries. This is the time to make bold moves, big moves, and what I call big fish moves. That's what this is a big fish move, and that's what we've been talking about earlier in this show. It really is. But you've got to have the right mindset, obviously, and be determined. And what's so interesting is if you really broadcast what it is that you're trying to do, it goes beyond a sales campaign. It really becomes a mission. It really becomes something that's like bigger and more elevated and will help people in some deep way above and beyond making a buck, right? And it's so interesting that when we put that kind of extra energy and we're taking on something that we've never taken on before, people help. People come to you. So, for instance, let's talk about big ideas. I know you're sitting at home right now saying, what's he talking about? I'm going to give you 2 situations where I'm not going to solve them for you here. We don't have time for that. But I'm telling you, there are 2 situations right now in culture. Some of it's Nebraska-oriented, some of it isn't. And I'm going to share them with you, and I'm going to say, you need to that's a big fish idea. You better come up with something. So the first one is, most of you are aware that the Strategic Air and Space Museum is out in Ashland, Nebraska, about 45 minutes from Omaha. And it's gone through some turnover and some problems and some issues with leadership and staffing, and they're not getting quite enough tours from the schools and the kids and so on. It's been a challenge for that museum to succeed in a clear and robust way, financially and otherwise. So they brought in a former astronaut. Again, you probably know this, Clay Anderson, tremendous guy, tremendous heroic move that he made years ago in space, right? This is big time, of course. And so he agreed to relocate to Nebraska and be the new CEO, president of this museum. But the question is, how do we make it more successful and obviously attract more revenue and do a bigger and better job? Get more stuff going on, right? Get more people. Well, this is a very interesting and complex topic. And I believe that I have a solution for this guy. Now, they're focusing on science and the future of space, all right, which is great. And it's a very exciting thing. It fits right in with some of the World War II airplanes and so on. Now we're talking about space and the future. And there certainly will be some people that will be inspired by that. There's no doubt about that. But there are a lot of people who will say, well, that's really cool, and you know, kind of go through their head. But on the way home in the school bus, they won't remember it another day or two. So we have to find something that this organization can say or do that has deep, lasting, maybe life-changing implications. So I'm going to tell you right now, this moment, you're going to hear an incredibly big idea. And then I'm going to move on to the next one real quick. The concept is 2 words: fly higher. Fly higher. Now, I'm not talking about rockets and planes. I'm talking about a motivational concept. You know, our whole country has been pulled down by divisiveness and a lot of, not necessarily the brightest thinking, so to speak. But if we can fly higher, and obviously you're talking about a speaker, I'm talking about national speakers, Steve Harvey, Tony Robbins, standing in front of these giant airplanes and rockets and so on, exhorting people to raise their perspective, raise their thought process, think at a loftier level, fly higher. The word fly higher is obviously ties in perfectly, and it accents and augments the other concept, which of course is space and the future of space exploration. So that's a very exciting and a wonderful opportunity. It's hard for them to kind of sift through all the ideas. I'm sure they've got people coming in from every direction. But the concept of fly higher at the museum in Ashland unleashes all kinds of incredible ideas, thoughts, and aspirations. Aspirations. The other concept, and I'm going to talk about this later on, I won't go into it right now, we are out of time, is what could the United States do for the children of Ukraine, right? We all know that the mother and the children, many of them, not all, but most of them have relocated to Poland. And they are living with wonderful families who brought them in and are taking care of them. And they're out of the blue and they've all come together. We're talking about millions of children that have left their home in Ukraine and they're living with strangers right now in Poland, wondering what's going to happen. Will a nuclear war occur? They're frightened to death. Now, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way that, and I think it's the banking industry, by the way, that could move this ball forward a little bit. But I think also Hollywood and New York, I think all these great celebrities and actors and actresses, I think if we caught them and their heart, I think it could be a replay of We Are the World in 1985. Yeah, that song, We Are the World, Lionel Richie and Bruce Springsteen, all these wonderful performers. In 1985 was a really pivotal moment in America. There was a real strong idea about coming together and trusting each other, supporting each other. Now that was inspired by terrible situations in Africa, and that's a different topic. But we're talking now about a key moment and the people who suffer the very most, which of course are these children. So I'm challenging the banking industry and the entertainment industry to come together around a theme, music, all kinds of cool, sophisticated stuff, pull people into your businesses, attract them, give them rewards for participating, and let's all pull together and send some serious financial contributions to Poland and have them distributed, obviously, by a trustworthy vendor and partner, probably the ambassador in Poland, I would guess. It begins there. All those things can be worked out, but I guarantee you those are two big ideas, whether it's a museum, whether it's somehow connecting with and honoring and serving the children in Ukraine. All right, there's two big ideas. That'll keep you thinking tonight. And again, go back to the strategy portion of the show and think, maybe we can tie in with that. Maybe our strategy is to donate some of our profits to some of these projects, the two projects that I just mentioned here at the end of the show. Could be, maybe not, something to think about. That's right. And thanks again for watching us right here on WowBiz Nebraska. I'm Lynn Hinderaker. We've got thought-stirring ideas to share with you all the way up and down the line. People, products, systems, technology. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.